All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. You are watching the Known Heretic channel. I am waiting for my ground crew to join me. We are going to hopefully be live in Pennsylvania for the HB 972 sports bill that is being talked about today. There is a rally with a number of women's groups, including Women's Declaration International, Save Women's Sports, whose button, well, there we go. Pin I am repping right now. Oh, that's a little messed up. And there we go. Whose pin I am repping right now. There are some other Pennsylvania specific groups who are involved. The Pennsylvania Family Institute is part of it. So they are supposed to be having a rally, and I have been in contact today with an on the ground crew who are supposed to be my live reporters. I am here in my studio simply hosting this rally, which I am very excited to do. But ultimately, I'm sort of having, I guess, I don't know if they're having technical difficulties, but we are waiting for them to join us. I have gone ahead and gone live without them. But while we are waiting for them to arrive, why don't we get into some of the logistics of the bill? Right now, of course, what is going on in our country is that we have seen Biden's executive order, which he put in place on his second day of his presidency. And that executive order is a top down order. This is a process ultimately that didn't have to go through any public recommends. Hey, Carrie, how are you? So it didn't have to go through any recommends. And this is a top down order that replaces the category of sex with the category of gender identity. So this affects Title IX issues for women and girls. One of them is including sports. So right now, what we have seen across our country is that it is up to the states to protect sports for women and girls at a state level. So this is what we are going to be witnessing, hopefully, with this rally today. This is the short version of this act that we are going to see going up in Pennsylvania. It is providing sports in public institutions, higher education, public schools to be specifically designated by sex, whether they are male sports or female sports, or some, of course, can be designated co-ed, but all of the designation will stay sex-based, which is what we do like to see, of course, because as we know, there are thousands and thousands of claimed identities from, kind of the usual identitarian of trans all the way to, non-binary and demi-boy and agender and maverick. And now there's all kinds of like cat genders and doll genders and cake genders, which is kind of my favorite. So ultimately there are thousands of identity categories. It is simply just senseless to play sports by these made up identities. Sports are for bodies, and we have designations based on sex for a reason. And every one of all of these thousands and thousands and thousands of claimed identities is either one of two sexes. Again, thank you all who are watching already. I said this earlier, but I think my ground crew is having some technical difficulties. I'm not sure what's going on. I am trying to contact them to see what's up. They should be joining me so that I can kind of put them on screen. Hopefully, we're going to see a rally. I have been told that Jennifer Thomas is there. Kara Dansky is there. We will be hearing representation from Save Women's Sports, which we all know and love. And I'm really excited to be capturing them. Jennifer, hey, what's going on?
So we're going into people's offices. I can start the live stream right now if you want, but there'll be dead air for like a half an hour. But we're still entering the offices of senators and, appealing for fairness for women.
Well, I am live because I thought you told me 1:30, so I had to start my live stream.
Oh shit! All right, okay. Let me click on the live.
Okay. Okay, great.
And then I'm sorry I got caught up, but there's a lot of action, and I'm sorry about that.
That's
I will
okay.
click on your live stream and get live.
Okay, great. Great. I think we've maybe had a little miscommunication here, which is sorry about that. I'm a little frustrated, but I think it's going to be okay. We can have a chat with Jennifer before the rally goes. I guess the rally is scheduled for a little later. She just I don't know if you could hear that conversation very well, but she said they are going into senators' offices right now, so they're kind of doing some legwork before the rally to talk to individual Congress people. So ultimately, this is what's needed and necessary. I think people are, people tend to have, a lot more ability to listen to one-on-one conversations. I know that we are all talking about this all the time online, but I think that these public conversations, these private public conversations with actual sitting representatives make a big difference. And I think that often when they hear it straight from our mouths, and they have to look at women's faces and girls' faces, I know there will be some young athletes in attendance at this rally today as well. So hopefully, we're gonna hear from all of that. Um, and one other thing, since here I am alone to host you, one other thing that I will add into this conversation that I think is really important, and I think that we don't talk about quite enough, is I hear all the time these arguments that these men have gone on estrogen, and they have gone on testosterone blockers, and because this decreases their performance ability, somehow this makes it fair. And what I would like to say, and what I do continue to say, is that you know, elite sports is for the elite. So, the reason that category exists is for, fine tuned, honed, elite performance. So it is, the women and men who compete in their elite categories, they do everything, that they can to shave fractions and fractions of seconds, and for example, like for swimming, this could be, actual time spent in the pool, hours and hours practicing in the pool, but it's also the weight training that they do on the side. It's the yoga that they do for flexibility, it's the massages that they get. These elite athletes do everything, including finding the best mattress and the best pillow so they have optimal sleep. So, in eating the right food, all these kinds of things. So it's a total lifestyle of performance enhancing, and that's why elite sports exists, so because it is pushing your body to the absolute limit of what your body can do. So when these men take performance decreasing drugs to put them on the same level as women, it doesn't make it fair. It simply makes a mockery of everything that elite sports stands for. So, elite sports is no longer about pushing your body to the absolute limit when you have competitors in the field who are literally taking performance enhancing drugs. If I started competing in little league, with one hand tied behind my back, it wouldn't make it fair for me to compete with children. It would simply make a mockery of all of the earnest, hard effort that those kids were putting in, and that's what we see here. These men who take performance decreasing drugs, it makes a mockery of every single sacrifice that these women make to push their bodies to the absolute limit, you know? So, it's simply unfair, and of course, it doesn't take me explaining this and breaking it down and making an analysis and an argument for anyone to see this. Ultimately, anyone who has eyes in their head and can look at men and women across the board in a general setting can see that this is unfair. It's kind of ridiculous that we have to come up with all of these argumentations in the first place, because every thinking person can see that this is very unfair. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, exactly. I don't think people do think about those elite things. There's an interesting story. I don't know if everyone has read the book. There's a great book called Atomic Habits. It's a really great book for learning how to set these habits for yourself. But the funny thing is, in this book, he goes a lot into elite sports. So one of the stories that this guy tells in the book Atomic Habits, I'll look up the author in a second, I forget his name. But he tells the story of the UK men's cycling team. So the UK men's team was always in last place, and they got this new coach, and the coach decided basically, and that's kind of the point of Atomic Habits. Like, he as little as an atom, like these little teeny tiny changes, but they get exponential over time. So what the UK men's cycling team did is they basically they did things such as they painted the inside of the van white so that they could better see dust on the equipment. They got the best bikes and the best tires. They iced their bodies when they were performing. They made all of these micro changes, and in a matter of 2 years they went from being worst to first, and they won I forget what the cycling championships are called, but they won 5 years in a row with this strategy of making these tiny minute changes to enhance them. But okay, I see that Jen is here, so we are going to add her to the stream and welcome her. She's going to give us some details about what is going on the ground. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Hi, Amy. Yeah, I'm so sorry about the delay. My phone wasn't receiving any of the. I had to go outside, so I'm outside.
Hear you.
Oh, here, let me.
I can't hear you.
Hear me now?
All right, there. Nope, I can't hear you.
Okay, let me get a little farther. Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, and the whole of this Atomic Habits is it's like little teeny tiny habits over time, that are the size of an atom, but ultimately these habits blow up like an atomic bomb. That's kind of the like wink of the book, and why he talks about that. Let me see, Jen, can I hear you now?
Do you have
Oh,
me
she's
on mute?
loud and clear on the stream? Huh. Maybe there's something wrong with my thing. Okay, I'm gonna unplug my mic and see if that's it.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Oops, there was an audio problem on my side, so that was my problem. So sorry about that. Okay, so I've been chatting with our listeners for a little while, and I have been trying to give them some context of what is going on. But if you could, oh, I love that. If you could also give some context, tell us who all is there today, what is happening now, and what time is the rally starting, just so we know.
The press conference is starting at 2.
Okay, great.
And it'll probably run about 45 minutes to an hour. We have been going from senator's office to senator's office, dropping off material and discussing the rights and privacy of women and girls and fairness in sports, and how if it's not fair, it's not sports, it's not complicated, and it's not personal. Right. So because we're getting a lot of pushback with, well, what category are we supposed to put them in? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, why do women have to be absorbed your category? Why don't you come up with a new category? If that's your worry. If that's your worry, then focus on that and let women be. We haven't even had sports with Title IX for 50 years before men are in our sports.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And it is contentious. I've gotten into a few scuffles with some senators. One of them wouldn't even talk to us. Just said I support trans and ran away as usual. But then there were many staffers that listened to us, and you could tell they were women, and you could tell even though they had the Frankenstein flag on their door, they are like displaying that proudly. And I'm not seeing any suffragette flags on anyone's doors. I don't know why they think they shouldn't support women and girls and,
Yep.
and safeguarding for children. And then they're so proud to support this other thing that is encroaching on women and girls' rights. But they are. And I'm kind of telling them what's what, going into each senator's office. I did get in trouble for filming. It's legal to film, but and I told the woman I didn't film you. I filmed the woman I was with talking, because it is dangerous when you focus. If you film people agreeing with you, they will get targeted. And I said, and this, we all know this. And then another gentleman, I was like, you're a man. I know you know. We know that you know.
Yeah.
We know you know. Everybody knows, because they know to shut up. They know to be quiet. So we know you know. So and we're getting past the point where you can hide it, because men are starting to come in and say this isn't right. So we have, luckily, the help of men, to stand against this with us. And as you know, they're being listened to. So this is a good opportunity for women to get out there and say, guess what? There's women here too that say no, and and argue with them. I guess they some will argue and some will just listen. It's we're still fighting, and but we're gonna win. We're gonna win. This this is just a blip in time. Women will win. We always do.
Yes, we do. Yeah, I love when Posey says that. I always win. I always win. Me too. Me too. I always win.
Posey never loses. And so we have this state. I can't. Why do I have this?
You got it.
Women's sports. And can you see it?
Yep.
No, you can't, because I messed up. There. And SOS. SOS sports. And we'll heart you if you do.
So tell us about who are some of the speakers that we're going to see at the rally today?
We're going to see some conservative women.
Oh, now I really did lose your sound. Jen, you muted your mic. Your mic is on mute. Jen, you muted your mic. Jen, you muted your mic. Jen, you muted your mic. I can't hear you.
I don't know how. When I get a phone call, it shuts it all down.
Got it.
So I'll have to remember that. So quick hit the unmute button. It's Pennsylvania Family Institute has set up the press conference. So there'll be speakers. There'll be speakers from that group. WDI is here, so Kara's going to speak. I'm speaking on behalf of Save Women's Sports. And I mean, I think there's a few more speakers. There might be a couple senators that go over there and speak, and we'll find out, because we're going to do the live stream.
Yeah, great. Good. I'm trying to do this. There we go. All right. Good. So that is happening in about 10 minutes, is what you're saying, is the press conference?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So here, we'll see if you see in there all the Save Women's Sports see the people are starting to gather.
Yay.
People are supporting us, like in the halls. They're saying, thank you for doing this. We did get a little pushback, but we are getting so much more support than we are pushback. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this looks like we're nearing kind of the end of an era with this, with this nonsense of pretending that biological women have a fair competition when they play sports with biological men. We all know that's not true. And I've reiterated that every time I go in, that we know, whatever you say, why are you using our category in sports that we've only had for 50 years, to absorb whatever problem you want to address? Leave us alone. Leave us alone. So I'm going in, I'm going to set it up. So I'll bring you in with me. And if I quiet down, you'll know why. I have to go through the thing too.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna maybe I'll mute you while you're doing that. I'll have a little conversation with our guests, and we'll come right back to you.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna mute her for a second and let her set up, and we'll come right back to her. Okay, well, this is very exciting. I'm glad that everyone is tuning in. We're gonna get to that the rally pretty soon. It's coming up in just about 10 minutes. But I think it's heartening to hear that, when you do go and you do these things in person, when you get your feet on the ground, get your boots on the ground, we do really get a lot of support from the politicians that hear us in person. Now, of course, there's going to be some that are captured by the ideology. There are some that have to maintain their position, because they think it's what their constituents want. But I think that the more that they hear from us and the more that they see us and what we're doing, then I think that they get the idea that, people are not into this. I think that one of the other, I was talking about my argument earlier when people were joining, that of course, men on performance decreasing drugs does not make a level playing field. It only makes a mockery of everything that women and girls do to be elite. And I think the other hole in their argumentation that we have to push back on is the notion that there is such a thing as people being banned from sports. No one is banned. No one has ever been banned from sports. There is no ban on anyone playing sports in the category of their sex. Now, the fact of the matter is, the men's category has always been an open category. So that category has always existed for anyone. The NFL, for example, the National Football League in the United States has had women be kickers in their sports. That has happened rarely. There have been professional women's soccer players who have been kickers for professional men's football teams, because the fact of the matter is that is an open category. It's simply that women are usually not able to compete. And the fact is, women can only be a kicker because there's no way that a woman is going to be able to take a tackle from a 300-pound linebacker. There's just really no woman who is going to be competitive in that area. Okay, so this is good. We're getting this set up right now. All right, so I'm going to check back in with her. But I just want to say, ultimately, no one is banned. So that's a whole thing that I think we have to combat. The sex categories that exist are already open to every single identity that exists. You can be whatever identity and compete in the team of your sex. Yeah, it's an accomplishment for a woman to play at the men's level. But yeah, a man who is taking performance decreasing drugs, that's no accomplishment, and that's also a choice. Men are making a choice to decrease their performance. So now, these men have a choice to play on the men's team or on the women's team. So they have a choice, and ultimately women have no choice. There is no identity category they can choose that would give them an advantage over everyone else. So men can somehow be in this place of choice about their identity, and women, I guess, also get to choose their identity, but it doesn't ever give them a performance advantage. All right, so I can see in the background we're setting up. I'm going to check in with Jen. Up.
Got 5 minutes. I'm third on the list to speak. I'm gonna try to live stream it, but I can't obviously do this while I speak.
Wait, did you bring a do you have a tripod?
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay, we're good. We'll see if someone can hold the camera for you when
I've taken care of that. But now every time I get a position, I'm getting moved by like the bigger news people. So I'm gonna try to just get a good spot, and then the woman that knows that when I get called, she's gonna come up and hold the cameras. I'm holding her live stream right now, so so hopefully that'll work. But let's be quiet during this, because unless I'm gonna mute you. Is if that's okay, or mute yourself so that because we can hear you.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna. So why don't you set up on the action? Why don't you set up on the action, and I will take myself out of the frame.
I think I'm just gonna sit down and see if I can get a little seat here. So I can get closer. Maybe this. Oh, can I sit next to you? So now I have a good spot.
They have a new donor center on Franklin Street, and when you donate blood, you get a coupon for a free pint of beer. What? What?
Hi.
Are you gonna speak and stand? Okay. We're lining up speakers by order right now.
Okay, I'm number 3, right? Number 3?
Yes.
And I'll be talking.
Check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check in. 1, 2, 1, 2. One more time. Live at the Harrisburg State Capitol. It's Tuesday afternoon. Good. All right.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today at the press conference for Parents in Women's Sports. My name is Lexi Sneller, and I am with the Pennsylvania Family Council, and I'm joined today by Concerned Women for America, Young Women for America, Women's Declaration International, Safe Women's Sports, as well as key legislators and parents who are concerned on this issue. We're here today because nearly 50 years of hard-won opportunities for women gained through Title IX are at risk as women are being forced to compete against biological men and losing out on a fair and equal playing field. You will be hearing from women today of all different parties and backgrounds, and yet we've come together on this important issue because we all recognize that we need the Fairness in Women's Sports Act to create a fair and equal playing field for girls across our Commonwealth so that they can continue to enjoy all that we've earned from Title IX for decades to come. First, we will be hearing from two key senators on this issue, Senator Judy Ward and Senator Kristen Phillips-Hill.
Good afternoon. I'm State Senator Judy Ward. I'm here today to raise awareness and support for the Fairness in Women's Sports Act, legislation that I was proud to sponsor in the Senate. This legislation would protect the dreams of young women throughout the Commonwealth. The Fairness in Women's Sports Act will ensure that all young women in the Commonwealth have a fair chance to compete in the sports that they love. Under this legislation, school athletics teams designated for women may not be open to those of the male sex. The legislation defines sex as the biological distinction between male and female based on reproductive biology and genetic makeup. This legislation would not deny anyone the ability to compete in sports. Rather, it makes sure that if there is a team that is only for girls, those girls are allowed to keep it that way. And there's a reason for having teams designated only for women. Men have distinct and meaningful physical advantages over women that translate to advantages in sports. Things like increased heart and lung size, greater bone density, more biomechanical advantages, and higher testosterone are among the many physical advantages that male puberty and development bestows. Because of this, we have separated sports to give women a fair chance to compete. Over the past half century, we have fought to protect athletic opportunities for female students, and now these opportunities are in jeopardy. Opportunities that we've had since the early 70s, and Title IX, unfortunately, could be a thing of the past if we don't work to protect them. Athletic competitions are important, and they are not trivial. They are more than just a game. They give women the opportunity to demonstrate their strength and skill, develop character and individuality, and to provide opportunities for recognition ranging from accolades to college scholarships. All of these things make participation in sports life-changing for the countless young women who play. I urge my Senate colleagues to join me in standing up for women everywhere who compete in sports in the pursuit of their dreams. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Senator Judy Ward, and to all of my colleagues who are up here today.
Each of these very special women were all student athletes. And we are here today to defend girls of all ages in their respective sports. We have seen trends across the country that have the impact to undo everything that women have fought for, that established an equal opportunity to participate in competitive athletics at any age. Title IX was originally created to stop discrimination and create athletic opportunities for every woman. Many of us up here, we know firsthand the doors that athletics open for young women, earning that roster spot, stepping up on that podium, earning that scholarship, building lifelong friendships, working cohesively as a member of a team together to accomplish a common goal, and opening so many doors to educational and career opportunities. It is clear that being on a team is so critical to the future success of young girls all across our Commonwealth. In fact, statistics show that 96% of all female CEOs were in competitive sports at one point in their childhood. We had those opportunities. We had a fair fight for a roster spot, or a spot on that podium, or a shot at that scholarship. And we are here today because we want to preserve that opportunity for the next generation of female leaders here in this Commonwealth. We want young women to use competitive sports as a launching pad for their future success in their careers, in their families, and in their communities. It's providing these girls with a fair shot to stand at the top of the podium to celebrate their significant achievements as a result of their hard work, and to give them the opportunity to compete at the highest level in a fair and equal environment. We have that opportunity to fight for every young girl in this Commonwealth today. Let's protect the intent of Title IX and fight for fairness in women's sports.
Jen, you lost sound. Jen, you lost sound. I have.
They all knew this young man as he had been a runner on the boys' cross-country team just a few months earlier that fall season. At the time, none of the girls were aware that he was now identifying as a girl. The last time they saw him, he was a boy running on the boys' team. Several girls were very shaken by this. My daughter, being a team leader, was a go-to person to handle their emotions, confusion, frustration, some of them anger. He was, of course, bigger, stronger, and faster than all the girls in the group that he ran with, and the psychological and emotional impact on them was profound. When my daughter went to speak to one of the coaches on behalf of her teammates, she was told that nothing could be done, and that her coach was not even allowed to discuss the issue with her. As the weeks went on and the girls continued to struggle without a word of explanation or support from school authorities, my daughter asked for another meeting, and a few of the coaches agreed. At this meeting, they were told, "This is happening, you're going to have to deal with it." And one of the coaches even said, and I quote, "If this were you," speaking of the young man on the team, "you would want to be loved too." As if their frustration and confusion had anything to do with their lack of love or care for this young man. Quite the opposite, actually, as it was my daughter's goal the entire season to befriend him, to look for opportunities to support him, and to let him know that she knew this was a tough situation for him, and that the girls' struggle with him being on their team wasn't because they didn't care about him as a person. While this was not the message written about my daughter or her teammates in news or posted about her on Instagram, the truth was that she was burdened by his pain, but also burdened by the daily tears of frustration of her teammates. And she carried these burdens with her every single day and beyond that season. There was no hate. There was no desire to see this young man excluded or hurt or to have opportunities taken away from him. And this is the problem with this movement and why it's so important to have leaders like these women here today who are crafting this bill and fighting back against the lies. Because the lies coming from this movement aren't just hurting the girls who want to have a fair playing field. These lies are devastatingly harmful to the transgender children themselves. It's harmful to tell a child that they can be something they're not. That the truth about themselves and who and what they are is determined by their feelings, when it isn't. The truth is that no matter what a boy does to his body, be it surgery or hormone blockers, he will never be the same as a biological girl. And telling him otherwise sets him up for a lifetime of pain, as the truth will conflict with the lie he's been told for the rest of his life. That's right. Another lie coming from this movement, which is harmful to both cisgender and transgender children, is that those of us who disagree with this ideology hate them. When the peers and adults in your life tell you over and over and over again that there's a whole huge percentage of the population that hates you. Your state legislators who are crafting this bill, they're doing it because they hate you. The school board members are writing policies because they hate you. Your teammates hate you. Your parents hate you. All these people hate you, and they want to exclude you from sports, and they want to take opportunities away from you. None of this is true. But if this is the message that you are fed your entire childhood, guess what? You just might grow up feeling hated. So who, I ask, is really hurting these children? And please hear me. I don't believe it's anyone's intent to do harm, but harm is being done nonetheless. By putting this bill forward, our state legislators are encouraging boys and young men to take responsibility for the bodies they have and the biological advantages that come with those bodies in the arena of sports. Teaching a child to be responsible for himself, while of course at the same time providing counsel and support for the questions he has regarding his identity, is a win for the child. And our children growing up knowing truth and being responsible for themselves is a win for the rest of society as well. I share the details about what happened at Penn last year, not to shed any negative light on anyone there, but rather to help you see how much our schools need help from a higher power. Last night, the Penn School Board voted in favor of a policy that would allow students to participate in all sports on the team that aligns with their biological sex identity. But if other schools in the Commonwealth don't have this city policy, then the problem remains for our girls. I want to thank Representatives Bart Grimes, Stephanie Horowitz, Martina White, Senator Judy Ward, and others for persevering with the Fairness in Women's Sports Act. Our schools need your help. Our children need your help. We are behind you. We are grateful for your willingness to do the hard work of stopping the progression of a movement that is hurting so many of our children.
I'm here representing the state women's sports. And what I'd like to get out there is that we know you know. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. You know that? Is everybody knows who you are. So, state women's sports, women deserve sports. We do a lot to create sports, even for boys and men. We are the ones driving them to practice, right? And we deserve sports. Women deserve this. We've earned it. It's not
why we are defaulting the women's category to solve a problem, that's the question, right? Why are we defaulting the category of women's sports to solve this problem? I mean, this isn't good problem-solving skills happening. And I just wanted to come up and let you know that more and more people are coming to us. Men, women, they don't like this. And come November, you will find out how much we know. So maybe open your eyes to this issue. Women deserve their own sport. We've only had 5 to 50 years, and there's already biological men in our sports. So if you want to join us, look up Save Women's Sports, donate, get involved, help us save sports for women and girls.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiara Dancy. I'm the president of the U.S. chapter of Women's Declaration International. We are an international group of volunteer women dedicated to protecting women's sex-based rights. The Declaration on Women's Sex-Based Rights was created by the founders of WDI to lobby governments all over the world, including in the U.S., to maintain language protecting women and girls, including lesbians, on the basis of sex, rather than on gender or gender identity. We are proud to support House Bill 972 and its Senate equivalent. WDI USA is a nonpartisan organization. We are Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and Greens. Speaking solely for myself, I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I want to emphasize that protecting fairness in women's sports must be a bipartisan undertaking. Bills that are similar to HB 972 have already passed in several states. In both Louisiana and South Carolina, similar bills passed with bipartisan support. I urge Pennsylvania Senate Democrats to join their Republican colleagues in supporting this bill to protect female athletes. Although I live in Washington, D.C., I'm no stranger to Pennsylvania. I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania Law School in 1999. This is the same university, of course, that allowed Thomas to swim on the women's team this past school year. Thomas suppressed his testosterone levels for a year and was in compliance with the applicable NCAA rules that were in place at that time. So what? As my friend Beth Stelzer at Save Women's Sports often says, women are not a hormone level. We are not men with lower than average testosterone. We are actually complete autonomous human beings, and we deserve to be respected as such. I lived in Philadelphia for a total of 6 years, not far from the Art Museum and the Schuylkill River. My sister and brother both went to Penn State. My mother was a faculty member at Penn State for decades. My entire family are proud Nittany Lions. Everywhere my mother goes, wherever she sees someone wearing a Penn State t-shirt or sweatshirt, she yells out, "We are," and the inevitable Penn State follows. Last November, I published a book called The Abolition of Sex. The book explains why it is so dangerous to pretend that men can be women, or that the material reality of biological sex isn't real. I say these things as a feminist and as a Democrat. Today, WDI USA volunteers are providing a copy of that book to every single Pennsylvania Senate Democrat. Article 7 of the Declaration on Women's Sex-Based Rights reaffirms women's right to the same opportunities as men to participate actively in sports and physical education. It states that these opportunities should include the provision of opportunities for girls and women to participate in sports and physical education on a single-sex basis. To ensure fairness and safety for women and girls, the entry of boys and men who claim to have a female gender identity into teams, competitions, facilities, or changing rooms set aside for women and girls should be prohibited as a form of sex discrimination. HB 972 and its Senate equivalent are great examples of what Article 7 of the Declaration is designed to accomplish: fairness and opportunity for women and girls to compete with and against other women and girls, i.e. female human beings. Polling consistently shows that Americans across the political spectrum support single-sex sports. I urge all Pennsylvania senators, Democrats and Republicans, to vote yes on HB 972 and its Senate equivalent. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Diana Coran. I serve as the State Director of Concerned Women for America, Pennsylvania. I'll be speaking for Concerned Women for America Legislative Action Committee. As the nation's largest public policy organization for women in the nation and our state, Concerned Women for America Legislative Action Committee is on the front line on the fight to protect our status as women and the rights of female athletes to fair competition. I am here today representing CWA of Pennsylvania members across the state who want to see Fairness in Women's Sports Act passed and signed into law. We thank our House sponsors of HB 972 and applaud the House for passing this bill. We now call on the Senate to follow suit and pass the bill that is equivalent in their chamber and send it to Governor Wolf for his signature. It is unfortunate that this bill is even necessary, but what is happening in female athletics today has made it essential. In our own backyard, a biological male athlete at the University of Pennsylvania, Penn, is smashing NCAA women's swimming records. Will Thomas competed on the men's team for 3 years and then competed as Leah Thomas on the women's team his senior year. Penn releases have been boasting of the wins despite shamefully displacing the true women record holders in their history books. Cases like this are jeopardizing the hopes and the dreams of female athletes nationwide. And because of that, Concerned Women for America Legislative Action Committee has filed a civil rights complaint against Penn. Supporting women in sports has historically been a bipartisan position. This morning, CWA of Pennsylvania lobbied for the passage of the Fairness in Women's Sports Act alongside a grassroots women's organization with contrasting views on many issues. But we have joined hands in our mutual concerns over the threat to girls' sports. Female athletes are being pushed aside to the sidelines in Pennsylvania. And you know, if we do nothing, nothing will be done. 16 days from now, we will celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX, which was passed by a Democratic Congress and signed into law by a Republican president. Title IX shattered the glass ceiling for women's athletics, was passed to protect the uniqueness of women's sports and written to protect women, not erase them. Allowing male-born individuals to participate on athletic women's teams directly violates Title IX and is discriminatory against girls. Title IX states in part, no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation, be denied the benefits of, or subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Female athletes deserve better. They deserve a fair playing field, the chance for awards, titles, scholarships, and all the opportunities that sports will allow. But they also need safety and privacy. The failure to pass the Women's Sports Act not only impacts females in the swimming pool, in the gym, on the track field, but it impacts those same female athletes who are being forced to share a locker room with male-born athletes. Our daughters, our granddaughters, our nieces in Pennsylvania, they deserve better. It is a crucial time in women's sports. It is time to protect women. It is time for Pennsylvania to sign into law the Fairness in Women's Sports Act. Thank you.
my name is Morgan Schlossman, and I'm the Young Women for America Western Regional Coordinator. Young Women for America is the high school, collegiate, and young professional arm of Concerned Women for America, the nation's largest public policy women's organization. I stand here representing thousands of young females across this country who believe that girls' sports are for girls only, no exceptions. I want to thank the 5 House sponsors for all of their hard work and dedication to fighting the good fight in Pennsylvania in support of HB 972, the Fairness in Women's Sports Act. As a women's organization, we are uniquely positioned to be a voice for women all over the country on a topic that hits right at womanhood and women's rights. Over the last few months, our YWA leaders have been on the front lines to save women's sports. In a number of different states, YWA ambassadors have testified in front of their state legislatures on save women's sports bills. They've also submitted written testimony to their state governments and participated in social media campaigns that have reached government leaders' offices. On March 17th, when Leah Thomas won the NCAA Division I Women's Swimming Championship, Young Women for America staff and leaders were outside the Georgia Tech Aquatic Center in support of female athletes. On that day, as female athletes were displayed from the podium and All-American status, Concerned Women for America filed a Title IX complaint against the University of Pennsylvania for refusing to protect the rights of college female athletes under federal law. While I stood outside the Aquatic Center that day with a sign that read, "Girls sports are for girls only," I experienced a range of emotions. So many parents and friends of competing athletes thanked us for being there as they walked by us and into the Aquatic Center. Their response made me humble and grateful that I had the opportunity to be there in support of female swimmers who were being displaced. I was also grieved at the fact that our presence was needed at such an event. It is baffling and heartbreaking to me that we are at almost the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and we are here fighting the same battle the women who went before us already fought and secured for the passage of Title IX. Growing up, I wasn't much of an athlete. I played a few years of tennis and enjoyed the community and physical activity that it brought me. However, I've always loved sports and cheering on my friends who are gifted athletes. Now with this current role with Young Women for America, I hear stories from girls all over the country of how important sports are to them and how they are already seeing and experiencing the ramifications of male athletes competing in female sports. We have Young Women for America leaders who have lost tennis matches to biological males and who had volleyball slammed in their faces by male athletes competing on a net 7 inches shorter than the male net. Female athletes' scholarships are on the line, their safety and comfortability in the locker room is at risk, and now they are shouldering a burden that they never should have had to carry. Title IX was passed to require equal educational benefits and opportunities for students, including athletics, on the basis of sex. Now we face a Biden administration that seeks to make a rule change to Title IX, which would include gender identity and effectively end women's sports as we know it. Here in the state of Pennsylvania, we have YWA leaders who directly benefit from the work we all are doing here to protect women's sports. As of today, there are 18 states who have passed laws that ban biological boys identifying as girls from participating in girls' sports. It is my
Okay. Uh-oh, here we go. Okay, we lost her from the stream. She's coming back.
I would like to just recognize some of my Senate colleagues who came out to support this issue this afternoon. Senator Michelle Brooks, Senator Doug Mastriano, Senator Scott Hutchinson, Senator Scott Martin, and Senator Chris Duff. I think I got everyone. So I just want to recognize them for their support and their leadership on this issue. And now I'd like to introduce Representative Bart Blunt.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank both my House and Senate colleagues for coming together on this important issue. We've been fighting this ever since President Biden's executive order over a year ago, and we feel that it's really important that the states then get it right. I stand before you today to urge my Senate colleagues to call up and pass House Bill 972 to protect women's sports in Pennsylvania. Since introducing the bill, we have maintained that women's own competitive category, guaranteed under Title IX law, ought to be preserved and that women lose out on a fair playing field when forced to compete against against biological men. Consistently, we have been told that girls in Pennsylvania weren't being forced to compete against biological males, but we heard directly from local high school girls' testimony revealing that this is in fact happening. And we all have heard exactly what happened at UPenn with Leah Thomas, and how just one biological man can just decimate years of hard work of women trying to compete in women's sports versus nearly 50 years of hard-earned advances for women and destroys fair competition for women athletic opportunities. You see, I'm old enough to be one of those women that fought really hard in a collegiate atmosphere for space to play, for uniforms, for transportation. And during those hard fights, now look at where our girls are and all the opportunities and scholarships and advancements that they have because of how hard we fought. Biological males and females are different. This fact simply cannot be reversed through surgery or changes in hormones. Recent scientific studies have proven that even after a male is given these hormone blockers or when testosterone levels are reduced, their immense unfair advantage persists. And we know all of those advantages. We've been talking about them for a year. But it's unfair. It's inherently unfair to girls who get second and third. It's unfair to the girl who comes in fourth but should have been on that podium. It's unfair to the girl who should have run in the final heat but did not because a male was there. Our household mindset is to ensure fairness for all, preserves athletic opportunities for women. Today, we are not considering if we should separate sports. Rather, we are here to consider how to best separate them, whether by biological sex or by gender identity. But we all know, as you've heard before, that identities don't play sports, bodies do. Athletics are best for everyone who is separated by biological sex, and it's also safer. Often forgotten in this discussion are women who identify as men. If they are pressured to compete in men's division, then it will not make the cut, and those especially talented athletes who do will have significantly less playing time than if they competed in the women's category. No matter how you cut it, women are harmed when we fail to defend women's sports. The media and opponents of this bill continue their false characterizations of it. They know it does not ban trans males from playing sports. You know the truth that all males, no matter what gender identity they adopt, are today welcome and will continue to be welcome to play against biological male bodies and male divisions. Sports are not about what we look like, or the stereotypes or identities we adopt. Enacting House Bill 972 ensures the intent of Title IX is not eliminated and will ultimately help promote gender equality by giving both biological males and females the best environment in which to succeed. I ask the Senate to pass this bill for the sake of competitive women's athletics in Pennsylvania. And when they do, I ask our governor to protect women and women's rights under Title IX and sign the bill. It is clear that the majority of the people of Pennsylvania want this bill. Right now, thousands of girls across our Commonwealth are looking to us, to leaders, to help them and defend them. History will ask why too many adults who could have protected them remain silent. Now is the time to give voice to these girls and to protect the hard-won benefits of Title IX for generations of women to come. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce my colleague, John. Thank you. I'll keep this a little short since we have so many speakers, and I just kind of want to get to my point that we have. As a mother of a daughter, I'm not fighting for just a trophy or a place on a podium. I am fighting for an opportunity. all of the women that we have that maybe aren't the best athletes, and that's making them or forcing them to compete with biological males. And as a child of the 70s, I had a lot of advantages that my older peers did not have. And we have made enormous strides. The trails that have been laid have been monumental. And failing to stand up and protect our daughters now takes us back decades. And I just find it ironic that we're being told, and I'm supposed to tell my daughter that she needs to check for biological reality for another individual's feelings. We can't do that. And I have a story I'd really like to share because I had an individual who was in treatment, male athlete, and he came in to talk to me about, why he did not support this bill. And he was attempting to play on a men's team, men's soccer team. And that was how it categorized him. So he had to play on this team. And he said, he explained the frustrations he had, how difficult it was, the expectations were so much higher, felt like he had a spotlight on him. And I looked at him and said, well, you should have been playing on the women's team. You are a biological female, and you should have that opportunity to play with your peers. It's exactly where you should have been able to play and excel as an athlete. I'm protecting your rights. I'm protecting all of our biological women and our biological men's rights. If sex didn't matter, why do we have sex-segregated sports in the first place? And this is not about squashing anybody's opportunity. This is making sure that we have opportunities for both biological sexes, fair, equal opportunities, and we don't go back decades and force our daughters, our granddaughters, our future generations of women to go through those struggles, to fight for that platform once again that has already been gained in history. We need to pass this bill today. We need to support and protect our young women so that they can have these opportunities and we continue to move these generations forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here. Thank you to all the colleagues that have come to stand alongside us. We appreciate it. To all the organizations who have gotten us this far, thank you. Thank you to the people, because when the people rise up and stand up, it's game over. And so thank you guys for being involved and coming. We appreciate it. I just saw a news article of 2 biological males who took first and second place at a cycling event, while a female stands to the side tending to her child, and who took 3rd place. Enough is enough. Now is not good enough. It's not good enough that a biological male can just win at a state level. He wants to go to the Olympics and cheat women out. At the Olympics, possibly breaking world records, degrading women's world records. Women will be cheated out of hard work and effort put forth in sports by biological males every time. God created us male and female. Let me say that again. God created us male and female, each different and unique with different strengths. It's pretty amazing. That is not bigoted or hateful. It is truth, and truth is severely lacking in this nation, and common sense. And this is a common sense piece of legislation that we really even shouldn't have to be running right now. It is past time to correct this wrong and stand up for women. We are calling on the Senate. Thank you guys for being here. I think they're going to hopefully get it and talk about the caucus here in a minute. We're calling on the Senate to pass the Fairness in Women's Sports Act, House Bill 972, and protect women's sports in Pennsylvania. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm State Representative Valerie Gatos. Let's make this absolutely clear. This is about fairness. And where this started was in 2021 when President Biden took away the authority of the governing bodies to make the decision. This started with President Biden. So the thing is that if people want control on a local level, then why did President Biden take that away? So this is about fairness, but it's also about safety. We have different categories of football. for children. You would not have a teenager, an 18-year-old, 17-year-old play against a 12-year-old. That's why you have PE football. This is about physiology. This is not about sex. This is where it's also about fairness, is that most people don't realize that when swimmer Thomas came in first, who is a biological male, transitioning to a female, taking hormones, came in first. But most people don't realize the person who came in second was a female transitioning to a male and took testosterone. All other women came in much, much later times. This is about doping. The World Anti-Doping Agency lists things that are drugs that are not permitted, and that includes anabolics, steroids. It also includes hormones. Now, why would we not have a doping category? Because that's what this is. This is about fairness. Nobody wants to prohibit transgenders from playing sports. In fact, that is far from the truth. Transgenders have the right to play sports. They should play sports. I have no problem seeing Leah Thomas swim in a lane next to other swimmers. That's fine with me. But she can't win because she is doping. That's what this is all about. Swimming is not a contact sport, but when we start looking at other sports, we're talking about contact sports. And this is about safety. This is about safety for our children, for our daughters in the sports arena. So I strongly support this bill. And as a sponsor, I am proudly supporting it. And I thank all my colleagues for standing up. I thank all the males, females for standing up, and I thank the Senate for addressing this legislation. So please pass this bill.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today and to support us. Science and common sense tells us that biological males are generally bigger, faster, and stronger than females. They have larger hearts and lungs, denser bones, stronger muscles, and generate more force in athletics. These are all advantages that cannot be undone. Imagine how a young woman feels about missing a spot on a roster for her high school soccer team to a biological male. She loses more than just an opportunity. She loses potential friendships and life lessons of being part of a team. She could lose out on athletic scholarship opportunities and miss out on athletic achievements that otherwise would have been hers, had she been given an equal opportunity to have fair play. Or worse, imagine a talented high school freshman who makes her varsity softball team as a catcher, but finds herself standing at the home plate, ready to tag a runner who is a much bigger and faster biological male. A collision like this in softball does happen, and the injuries that the young girl could suffer would be life-changing. These are just a few of the reasons we must ensure that only biological females are competing in the female category. Having separate teams for men and women is the time-tested way to ensure that women have the opportunity to showcase their talents and be champions. That is why I support the Fairness in Women's Sports Act, which would ensure that all female athletes have a level playing field to compete and win. We must stand up for our young women so that they have opportunities that were assured to them under Title IX. I have personally competed in co-ed sports, high school and collegiate level athletics, which was a benefit to me because of so many incredibly strong-willed women who came before me. They fought for Title IX, and this year marks the 50th anniversary of the passage of Title IX into U.S. law in June 1972. And Sports Illustrated is featuring this anniversary. They put to their readers a simple task. Share a photo of a moment in your life that embodies the question, what does Title IX mean to you? Allow me to take this moment to answer this question. Title IX afforded me the life lessons of teamwork, leadership, accountability, determination, and instilled in me to never give up. Ladies, women, young female athletes, we will not give up this fight. No one should be forcing biological females to compete against biological males. It is patently wrong and unfair. Every young woman in Pennsylvania needs to know that there are women here, right here in Harrisburg, fighting for them and their rights under Title IX. We will not permit anyone to chip away at women's rights, including the right to have the equal opportunity to play. We will continue to protect what so many women fought to ensure that you can compete on a level playing field and fulfill your full potential, not only as an athlete,
but as a woman with a bright future. Governor Wolf, when this bill gets to your desk, and it will, I have every confidence in these senators right here to get the job done. I ask that you stand with women in Pennsylvania and sign House Bill 972 into law. Thank you.
Woo!
Hi, I'm Emily Crooks with the Pennsylvania Family Institute, and I just want to thank everyone for coming out here. Thank you, representatives, for introducing this bill, and the senators, thank you, Senator Brooks and Senator Mastriano, and Senator Hutchinson, and I think I saw Senator Martin and Senator Dash here. We hope that this bill passes. The Senate House Bill 972 will pass the Senate because it's important to protect women's sports, to keep women from racing for second. So when, I'm a former collegiate swimmer. Sorry, it's just emotional. When I saw Leah Thomas swimming in the Ivy League championships, and the commentator said, "Racing for second. Women should not be left to race for second. We need to protect women's sports. Please pass House Bill 972. That's why women from across Pennsylvania, Altoona, Philadelphia, Harrisburg, we've all come here to ask senators to pass House Bill 972. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy.
Hey, okay, that was great. That was really wonderful. That was a wonderful lineup. Can you hear me?
Yes. So you had a good view, because I couldn't tell what I was, how I was angling the camera. Did you get a good view?
Yeah, we got a good view. So let's maybe can you talk right here?
I'm going to go outside for a second so that we can talk freely.
Okay.
And it's just right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So it's just right here. Yeah. I was asked at the last minute to represent Save Women's Sports, so I hope I did well. I didn't have a speech prepared.
You did really great. It was great to see you up there. It was great to see Kara up there. It was great to see all of those women. I mean, frankly, I think it was really nice that we had such a mix of conservative and liberal women there. So I felt like it was a good representation of women across the board. So I felt like that was ultimately really exciting to see. And I'm really glad that we got this live up so that we could share this with everyone. I had you guys on the full screen, so we got to, share it with everyone who was watching at home. So thank you for, being there in person so that we could all be a part of this.
Yes, it was thrilling. That was my first time speaking at the state capitol. I mean, I've been to plenty and spoken, but not officially. So that was official. And thank you. Concerned. Oh no, it was Pennsylvania Family Institute that gave me and Save Women's Sports the opportunity. So really grateful for them. We've got a lot of positive feedback, even from the senators that had the Frankenstein flag on their door that they proudly displayed. The staffers, the senators were like, no, but giving us a little, kind of nonsense. But the staffers really wanted to listen to us. And when I brought up, key points about, I know this is wrong. I don't have to go into bone density and grip strength and muscle mass. I know this is wrong.
Yep.
I refuse to even go on that, explain the differences of how women are weaker, physically weaker than men. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come right at you and say, I already know it's wrong. So what do you, so just that's where you're at, basically. That's where you're at. And if you want to, sports for your daughters, and these are mostly women that work in the offices. And, they are like, yeah, I know, especially with the sports issue. Like, it's so, it is, I can see your point, and why they can't see the point for safeguarding women in the bathroom or, in a rape shelter. I don't know. But for some reason, they do relate to this sports issue. And this is one of the red buttons that really works. I hope I scared them with like a little threat, because I wanted to put a little threat in there that come November, just because nobody's talking about it doesn't mean they don't agree with us.
Yep. Yep.
Right. And when they're in their little booth at the voting thing and the curtains closed, we're going to find out what the numbers really are.
Yep.
And they know. But the one guy was so rude to us. I was like, is that your oops, you dropped your $100,000 check from Martina Rothblatt. Pick it up, buddy. He was so rude to us, unnecessarily rude to us. He could have walked out and said nothing, but he decided to tell us that we aren't kind and not, because we're defending the rights of women and girls.
We're being kind to girls. That's who we're being kind to.
That's right. And you know what? We're being kind to women and girls, and we have the right to defend women and girls. And anybody that says that we don't, and then they turn around and say, oh, all lives matter is bad. Well, you know what? They're doing the same thing. If someone says Black Lives Matter and someone says all lives matter and everybody gets mad about that. And then when we say we're defending the rights of women and girls, and they're like, well, why aren't you helping everybody? Well, guess what? Women and girls really need us right now. They're under attack. Porn is out of control. Their self-esteem is at the lowest point. The adults, the moms, the adults that, even though I don't want to take responsibility, but we did allow this to happen. It is our responsibility to come in and say no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, that's what we're doing right now. And ultimately, the adults in the room have to stand up. We got to put down boundaries. We got to say no. That is part of it. Well, thank you, Jen, for being with us today. Thanks for Jay Thomas, everyone on Twitter. Follow her there. And we're going to be doing more of these lives. So if you want to, of course, I will always have my video essay content and my interviews, but we're going to be trying to capture a lot more of these on the ground events. So to everyone who says that women in the US are not doing anything, we are organized. We are in movement. We have got our boots on the ground. So if you hit that bell, then you'll, if I do a spontaneous live from an on the ground event, you will get a notification for that. So that's one of the best ways what you can do to stay notified. Otherwise, follow myself on Twitter at Known Heretic, follow Jen on Twitter. Jen, any last words before I end this live?
Well, just make sure you hit that bell, because a lot of times, this is last minute stuff. I didn't know I was going to be speaking until 20 minutes before. So if you hit that bell, you'll get notified, like with news that's happening right now, because I'm all over the place. I'm all over the country. And Amy and I are, she is so wonderful and makes herself available. When I'm out, on the ground, she makes herself available, and she's so good, because a lot of this you get, a little bit of downtime where then we have Amy filling in, with
fill in the gap
with knowledge, like coming down with knowledge. And nobody says it like Amy. I wish you were here today, Amy, but I'm glad that you could do the live stream with me, and thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I'll have my boots on the ground pretty soon. Well, I'll be doing more of that as well. But thank you for being there. Thank you, everyone who's been in my Facebook and my YouTube today. Iris and Maria and Ari and Beatrix and Jamie. Let's see, Jennifer. We got Matt Inslee was with us today. Carrie Brusk was with us. So I thank all of you ladies for being here and participating. It makes it a lot more dynamic and fun for all of us.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without you. We are so grateful for your support and your interest, and it makes it more fun for us to kind of bounce, and then I see what people are commenting on, and we can have more conversation. And once again, Amy, I love you. Thank you so much.
too. Mwah. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Please share this for all of your friends who say, you know, where are the women speaking out? Please share this with them. We are speaking out. This is the public record of our dissent. This is it. All right. We have to make it ourselves. We don't have a documentary crew. We make our own media. So please share this. All right. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Do it.